Hi, doing a talking video this time since I've got something to show you, this 3D print of one of my designs that I ordered from Thangs. It's one of the models that I made available as a print model over on Thangs, and I decided I ought to order one and see what it was like. So here we go. Here's what it was like. So as you can see, this is the PS1 boxcar with the panel doors. And it's kind of in focus. There you go. I ordered this on Christmas and it arrived on January the 15th. It took so long because Thangs uses Shapeways to make their prints. And Shapeway's facility is in the Netherlands. So yeah, it takes a while to get a print if you order a print off Thangs. So that's a pretty unfortunate aspect of trying to get prints from Thangs. Something else is that it appears that this printed like this, rather than like this. The holes for the pins didn't quite turn out as well as they should have. One, and I can't point at which one, but one was too narrow and a little filing made it a bit wider, but it was still a very tight fit. The other though was too wide, and there's pretty much nothing you could do to get a one of the pins that holds the trucks in, to the car would ever stick. So that's a problem. And again, I don't know why this would print like this, since there's so much under, and not like this, since, as you can see, it would pretty much sit flat on the printer, kind of like that, with no supports. But that's another thing that happened with this order. Something else you can see from this order is that it lacks stirrup steps, unlike this model of the, let me scoot the camera over a little. There you go. Unlike this model of my Z-Scale 36-foot double sheath boxcar. Thangs pretty much said you can't print anything with anything that small. These are only about, let me get a little bit closer. These are only about 0.5 millimeter wide. So they're pretty small, but they do print on my old home printer just fine. But you couldn't print anything that small with Thangs. These are also a bit thicker, again for the same reason, and they do feel a bit rough now that I've got my finger against them. So yeah, small details can't really be printed with Thangs. And if I didn't say before, this Z-Scale, this is the Z-Scale car that I had ordered. But it looks like if you were trying to get something like this in N scale, you'd have a similar sort of problem. You'd either have to make these, there you go. You'd either have to make these solid and unrealistically thick, or you'd have to do what I ended up doing and just leave them off and saying, well, you can add your own if you want to, but again, that's not quite great, considering that on a home printer you could add details like this. So something else is that this model is ABS, whereas all the stuff I made is in PLA. Why not PLA with this? I'm not quite sure. I can tell you that in uploading these printing designs to Thangs, ABS is the cheapest material that you can offer, not PLA. PLA is a bit more expensive. I can only assume that the factory where these prints are made has more ready access to ABS than PLA. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because while ABS is strong, it's not exactly as dense as PLA. So the weight of this car feels a little light compared with the similar size cars that I have on my own, that I printed on my own 3D printer. So again, if you're wanting something like this, you want it printed in a pretty dense material so that the car will have weight and, of course, stay on the track. If it's too light, it won't stay on the track when you couple it together, try to manually uncouple, maybe even just not stay on curves. So there's that. And that in turn leads to another sort of oddity with Thangs that is quite different than how Shapeways worked. On Thangs, someone like me who designs a model is the one that says, if it's going to be sold for print, here's the material that it's printed in. It's not as though I or anyone else can upload a model and then let the customer decide what material they want it printed in. If there is such a method, I couldn't find it, and it looked as though it really is up to the designer and seller to determine what material or materials something is printed in. ABS was the cheapest there was, so I set it to ABS. But in printing this, I sort of did it myself. This wasn't something that I had for sale and bought, although I did have the model for sale. But I just said, I want a print of this, and I'll order it myself. And even doing that way, ABS was the cheapest option. So yeah, it's just really strange how this all works out. And sort of one more thing to note now that I think about it. This model, you can maybe kind of see, I don't know, maybe it's too hard to see. Okay, maybe you can kind of, yeah, you can kind of see there. It's kind of hard to see, but if you notice, there you go. This is a two-part model. The roof is one part and the body is another part. The roof prints flat down on the print bed. The body prints like this with the top flat on the print bed. This is a single piece model. The reason why I did these single piece models, or why I uploaded them in the first place, was because doing a double print was more expensive than doing a single model. Kind of sort of makes sense, but kind of sort of doesn't. Yeah, you're using two different materials, but or two different designs. So yeah, that could be a factor. But again, it seemed odd that you have to make it a single model, because then you don't have any way to say, well, no, don't print it like this, print it like this. So you're kind of trusting the factory to do this right, or do it in a way that works. And yeah, that just seems kind of odd, a little off maybe. Could be just me, or maybe you watching at home sort of agree with me about this. So I think that is pretty much all that I wanted to talk about in this video about my experience with this print that I purchased of my own design. I can't say that I enjoyed the process all that much or what I got. I do think that 3D printing is important to the future of model railroading. I think it will allow us to make a lot more models, make the kind of models that we want in the quantities that we want, make them of the material that we want. But I think rather than having a print service take our designs or take designs we buy or download, we print our own. We get those designs, we put them on our own printers, and we can decide what material we want to use. We can decide how many we want. We just have control over the process, where you don't really have control if you're using a print service. You don't know if they'll print it so that we can actually run our cars as trains, or whether they end up being expensive display models that don't do anything. You know, the whole point of the hobby is to run trains, to switch trains. So we need models that fit that are able to run, which means not only do they look okay, but they can accept trucks, couplers, so that they have the weight required to stay on the track. So that's where my experience has taken me. That's where I'm thinking right now. I'm going to take the last few print models off of Thangs, hopefully by the time you see this video. My models will still be up at Thangs and Cults as downloadable file designs, but there is one other store I want to mention before I wrap this video up. Hold on just a moment. Let me switch some things around. So here's what I was talking about in the last section. This is Mayhem Marketplace. This is my store on Mayhem Marketplace. Mayhem Marketplace is kind of like Etsy, only it has a lot more ethical policies around it. There aren't hidden fees, and there's strictly no AI. A fellow indie author told me about this site, and so of course I've put quite a few of my ebooks up, but I also have my N and Z scale building files up. And as you can see, 100% of the sales go to any creator at Mayhem Marketplace. Now right now you can only download a single file of MM or a single object. It's why I have a few of my series bundles as several titles in one ebook. But their future plans are to allow for products to have multiple files in them. So I can wait until that happens to post my 2 and 3 file freight and passenger cars for N and Z scale. Or I can post roofs as separate purchases and the body as a separate purchase. So kind of give that some thought and let me know in the comments what you think. So that pretty much sums things up for this video for January. Be sure to like, share, and comment, especially share. I'd like a lot more people to see this video in the hobby and to sort of get their thoughts and feelings about 3D printing and print firms and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me for this long video. Hopefully be back to shorter switching videos next month. Take care and have fun with your model railroads. Thanks a lot. Bye.